only two expenses are specifically authorized by the U.S. Constitution: the public debt and national defense. Constitutionally, everything else is optional. Pay the debt payment and the national defense expense and budget what's left. No debt increase needed. Don't let politicians lie to you so that they can keep spending your money with reckless abandon. Please visit the shop at liberty-lighthouse.com and pick up a bumper sticker t-shirt. Until next time, see this Pashem, Arabella.
Did you know the IRS publicly admits that income tax is collected by voluntary compliance? Get the information you need to help you avoid income tax with these 5 easy steps. All you have to do is go to avoidincometax.com to get your 5 easy steps on how to avoid the IRS income tax. Escape the IRS. Let avoidincometax.com help you. We guarantee our 5 easy steps or your money back. Go to avoidincometax.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. Just because they've been exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. My very special guest, Sarah Smith, is a hypnotist, and we're kind of like going all around the gamut. We're talking about the Pope's exorcist, and we're talking about psychopaths, and we're talking about the overwhelming consciousness that is out there, and the amazing powers it has to heal and change us as well. Sarah, welcome back.
Thank you, Vinny.
So please continue.
Where were we after exorcists and psychopaths? Yeah, people think this is all very incredible and it's like magic. But going back 100 years, a torch would have seemed like magic. We would have been all burned by witches, wouldn't we?
Well, one can only hope.
Yeah, and we never know. The interesting thing about this job is the people I get the most, the personality type I get the most, I affectionately call them the controllers. Some people call them the control freaks because mine are very left brain. They always say, nobody can hypnotize me. And they all think that they're not under, but they are. And the more people protest, it's just the left brain protesting, saying, I'm not under, the more we know that they are actually, in fact, quite deep.
That's actually, that reminds me of an old saying of mine. How do you know if you're under mind control? If you don't think you are.
That is perfect. That is perfect because, and it's almost like I use the analogy of you see somebody in a pub and they say, I've only had 2 or 3 pints. I'm not drunk. I'm perfectly fine. And everybody else is going, yeah, you are. So people don't know. When you're in an altered state of consciousness, it's not familiar to them. And the majority of people have never done quantum hypnosis before. So it's a very different feeling. So the majority of people now, they're not actually going to past lives. They're going to somewhere else like other planets. They're going to the void, which is like they're in space. Now, what I found in my work that nobody else is talking about is in the beginning, most of the clients, they're seeing nothing. It's like dark space, the void, and they're floating around. And when I found out this was happening a lot, we kept thinking it wasn't working. We found out it was because the higher consciousness that is actually controlling the whole session for us, they want the mind to be blank. And the clients I get, their mind is running, 24/7. Their mind is always distracted. So they completely blank them and have them floating out in space somewhere. And I kept saying to the clients, you're not seeing anything, but it doesn't bother you. And they kept saying to me, no, this is the best session ever because I'm seeing nothing. I'm just floating in space, nothing to think about, no worries, no responsibilities. Or they're seeing what most people see in meditation, which is purple or violet colors. And we found out that was because the third eye or the pineal gland is opening. And so this is what we want people to, begin to be able to get into that state in the session as well, so they can remember and they can do it all over again by themselves. Because the important thing I say to people is, we don't focus on money and getting repeat clients. We actually say to people, we'll teach you how to do this, or they will teach you how to do this, and you never need to come back. You don't even need another session unless you really want one. It's a one-off session, and everything happens in that one session. So if we were trying to, most hypnotherapists, they say, book them for 10 sessions, book them in and, retain the clientele. We don't do that. We book you in once and we say, you don't need any more. It's all done.
Well, it's not only it's all done on your part, and now the rest is up to you. Like, for example,
that's right.
If I were to teach somebody how to live stream, how to do a radio show, how to edit video, how to do audio narration, or how to write, or any of these things that I can do, I could teach them, and they might learn. But then, will they go out and do that radio show? Will they start editing their videos? All of that kind of stuff. It's in your hands now.
It is. And my mentor, Dolores Cannon, used to say, as soon as they walk out of that door, they're not your responsibility anymore. Now, I'm always available. I say to people, email me. And do you know why I say get back to me? Because I rely on their feedback to tell me how the session is going, how my work is going. And 100% of all of the feedback, Vinny, I've got over 100 reviews and testimonials. I'm the single most reviewed therapist on the internet. They've all given me 5 stars, and they've said, I'm not changing their lives. It isn't me. They changed their own lives, but they say, Sarah changed my life, or saved my life, or the session did this or that. It was wonderful. And the other shock I started getting, I always seem to get them in 3s or 5s or 10s. One week I'll have all police. So that shows you it's highly designed. The next week I'll have all, wait for it, doctors. And the next week I had all surgeons. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what they do, because my policy was, I'll help anyone, anywhere, anytime, which is different from the therapists. Except
not this time, because we're going to break, and we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, after these messages. Well, Sarah Smith, the hypnotherapist, is my very special guest.
Thank you.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit drinksupertea.com. The first word is drink, spelled D-R-I-N-K, then the word super, then the word tea. The complete website is drinksupertea.com. Or call us at 818-965-9113, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-965-9113, drinksupertea.com.
Don't become dependent on the medical system. Get and stay healthy naturally with Extendivite. Metals in the liver cause peroxides to get dumped into the bloodstream. Peroxides do more damage than free radicals to the arteries, and the LDL has no protection from peroxides, causing the LDL to get stuck in the arteries, creating a potential blockage. Extendivite slowly chelates the metals away from the liver so it can dispose of what was meant to be a harmless process, peroxide. Extendivite 7 Herbs has a job to strengthen the organs and circulatory highway. Can you afford a heart attack? Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hi, Tom Bolton for Easeoff. I know so many of you are finding our Easy 4 carcass drop and lift an essential tool for your meat processing operation, but today I want to spotlight 4 of our new products. First, our right height hog cradles with steel or aluminum frames. Our customers love this back-saving innovation that enhances sanitation and speeds production. Next, our beef cradles with stainless steel or aluminum frames eliminate rust and corrosion. We hope you'll compare our quality and prices for this essential part of your processing line. Our cradles are especially effective when used with our power skinner. And finally, our hook tumbler will keep your hooks clean and polished. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Easeoff, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Beverly Hills is going down.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show, broadcasting live on republicbroadcasting.org and kiwiradio.nz. The lovely Ralphie has been texting me, letting me know we've got a bunch of people watching on the international stream there as well. I'd like to thank Republic Broadcasting for giving me a platform. I mean, to date, I'm the only New Zealander who has an American talk radio show, and that's been the case for 15 years in a row. So, other New Zealanders, come on, man. I'm just saying, the United States is probably the greatest country in the world, as it's said. And the reason why it's the greatest in the world is because you have the most amount of English speakers in any one location of a reasonably similar cultural mindset. So if you're looking for freedom, if you're looking for decency, if you're looking for a rebellious spirit, America is the place to have the best listeners, I think. And I am deeply grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Go to vinnyeastwood.com and please support the show if you can with your wonderful donations and supportive words of encouragement. My very special guest is Sarah Smith, a quantum hypnotherapist. I was a bit confused this morning because I thought I was getting on my mate Sarah Jane from England. And I was just like, oh, hold on a second, I'm a bit confused here, but I've rolled with it. You didn't even suspect there was something wrong, did you, ladies and gentlemen? God damn, I'm good. Now, my very special guest, Sarah Smith, rejoins us now. Thank you so much for giving us your retrospectively incredibly valuable time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and it's an honor to be on your show, honestly. I love your work.
Oh, thank you. I like it too.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the whole kind of. You're talking about this force.
Yes.
Right. And for many people would I presume there's many names for it. You know, God and what have you.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, there's only 2 things you can guarantee about reality. Number 1, it is what it is. Number 2. It isn't what it isn't. Okay, so regardless of how people feel or what kind of perspective they have, they can't change the facts.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Well, and another interesting thing about my job is it's like a bit of a jigsaw, and I was starting to get pieces of the jigsaw through the clients. Now, Dolores Cannon wrote a book called The 3 Waves of Volunteers, and she discovered through her work that after World War II ended in 1945, that the earth put out a call, like an SOS, and said, we're in trouble. And this call went out to the universe in her books, according to all the clients that she got, hundreds and hundreds of them. And they said that the call was answered by beings of light, beings of consciousness, and ETs. But there's a prime directive, a law of non-interference, very much so like Star Trek. And they cannot interfere with the developing species. So what they did was they had volunteers to come, ETs and other beings of light, beings of consciousness, and they said, yes, we will volunteer and we'll come. So she says the first wave came after 1945, World War II ended. These were the first people to come. And so, it's always difficult when you're the forerunner, when it's never been done before. So these people found it so difficult here. And obviously they don't remember when they're born here as humans, if that makes sense. And so these people felt very suicidal. The second wave of volunteers, which could be your age group, it is mine, they came in the 70s. Maybe you're not as old as that, maybe you're a bit younger, but they came in the 70s, and they were here. They were supposed to just change everything with their energetic frequency. The problem was a lot of them didn't like people, so they didn't want to go out, amongst a lot like what's happened in the last 3 years. And the third wave is apparently the millennials. We don't comment on what happened with them. But anyway, what I'm finding in my work is I'm getting what I call the new volunteers. So I started piecing together in a book all of the information I was being given by hundreds and hundreds of clients after I put out an ad on David Icke. So I became David Icke's sponsor, which I am at the moment. And when I put out an ad, he's promoting my work on his website. I started getting all of David Icke's followers calling me up and telling me that they actually resonated with those characteristics of not fitting in, not feeling like they're from here. And we discovered that they too, under hypnosis, are volunteers. They're people who've come here to help. They say we've come here to help the people and the planet to ascend. They're here to raise the consciousness. And you can see it over the last 3 years, that why is it that you and I, we got it, we knew what was going on, we knew this was all a hoax. Why did you and I get it? And the others are solid gold sleep. So we are the ones that have come here to help to wake people up, and we're doing the great work. Whereas, what happened to everybody else? Maybe there was a soul contract on the other side that they said, all of us over here will be the ones that are born awake, and all of you'll be asleep. You'll be solid gold sleep to all of this. You'll be oblivious, and you'll go along with whatever you're being told to do. Now,
this reminds me of the scene in the Matrix Reloaded, where the architect is telling Neo that the reason why everything continues to work in the Matrix is because they actually do give people a choice. Even if they're only aware of the choice on some unconscious level, the vast majority of people would, in fact, if you look at the population, choose ignorance, choose obedience, choose subservience over courage, responsibility, and obligation.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, that's my theory, that's my hypothesis. Did people like you and I on the spirit side, and it's like, I always say, it's like we have a basket with oranges, and every orange is an experience, a difficult experience. Like there could be neglect in childhood, it could be abuse. And you and I said, I'm going to pick a whole basket, and all this, people say substance abuse, everything. I'm going to choose all that to learn from. And we go, bye, Vinny, see you on the other side. But when we get here, we don't realize, we don't remember, and we don't realize how hard it was going to be. And so a lot of the people I get, Vinny, they're highly suicidal. They say, I don't belong here. And I explain to them, I know you do belong here, but I don't think you're from here. And a lot of people I get, they go, I'm not from here. And I say, I don't think you are. But I say, the bad news is you'll never fit in to this place. The good news is you'll never fit in. Who wants to fit in with these people with their masks and their, and their jabs and their we're quite happy being the questioners. We question everything. We don't conform. We ask why. And so I think it helps a lot of the clients when they realize that they did volunteer to come here, and they cry under hypnosis and they say, why did I do that? That was stupid. But they find out that they did volunteer to come here. It's also really important for my clients to understand under hypnosis that everybody has a mission. Everybody has a mission, and they need to know it's obviously to help people, but we all have a special set of skills and gifts that we come with, and you do it your way. You help people your way, and you're creating massive change on this planet, and you don't even realize how much. And I do it in my way. And when I help the clients, or the force that I work with helps the clients, imagine the impact they will have on everybody they meet as well, especially their close family members, their spouses. Everything is different. Everything changes.
Must be the scene from The Power of One, where he's in South Africa and he's trying to teach English to black people. And his college professor says to him, what difference do you think it's going to make? And he says, a waterfall comes from only one drop of water, sir. Look at what comes from that. And
that's powerful.
My brother told me this one. He was building a hotel project in Tahiti, kind of like health wellness retreat sort of thing, like big scale, like whoa. And they are doing it unlike anybody else has ever done it before. They're integrating what's called the 7-generation principle. So there were 3 generations before you. What would they think of what you're doing now? And what would the 3 generations after you think of what you're doing now? Right? And that's sort of the thing is there was this black opera singer, and she just died recently. And she was actually the world's first black female opera singer. And she had this saying that your talent is not a choice, it's an obligation. If you have a talent, if you have an ability, to keep it from the world is you shirking your responsibility. And that's why many talented people turn to substance abuse. How do you think they're going to be able to live with themselves all day, every day, if the only thing their consciousness is really telling them is get off your ass and start creating stuff and start making the world a better place? What are you doing? Yeah.
And this is so powerful, Vinny, even if they go to what we call a past life. We all know there is no time, but what we call a past life or another time or another place. And they say, I made that all up. However, when their character in the scene, when somebody dies or they lose a child or something, they're sobbing from their soul. You can't make that up. You can't make that emotion up. Where does it come from? Relating to what you just said as well, everybody I'm dealing with now, they're being told that your father, he couldn't do this. He couldn't heal the family tree, and neither could his grandfather. It's you. I'm being told everybody alive that comes to me now, the men and women, you need to heal this because this has gone on in your family for too long, and it's your generation that needs to heal it now. There's no more messing around. There's no more time. It's 2023, and you need to heal what you're going through and your father and your grandfather, and it will impact all of them. And like you said, it will impact the future as well. It will impact your children and your grandchildren and so on, because it's an energetic frequency. It's energetic healing that we're doing. It impacts all of us.
Yeah, it reminds me of the conversation I had with G. Edward Griffin, and he's been, I think he's probably the sort of like the truth elder, I think at this point, kind of thing, after Jordan Maxwell passed. And talking about how long he's been doing it since the 60s, you know? And I'm like, okay, I'm on my 15th year now. That's it's been a pretty hard slog, but doing it for that long, whoa. And the conversation kind of became about legacy. What it is we leave behind. Did you plant a tree whose shade you know you shall never get to sit beneath, as the Greek saying says?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. So this is what they're finding out in the session as well. And they're giving them a little glimpse of what their future could look like. And I asked them, do you have any advice for the client? And they give that client the advice. You need to do this and you need to do that. And like you said, Vinny, they have to follow the advice and listen to the tape. If you don't, I can't do anything further to help you. So, where were we? We were talking about what you're leaving behind and who you're affecting, isn't it? Yeah. So they're actually showing a glimpse of the future as well, and what impact they're going to have on the planet and other people and their children too. And they also say your children choose you as your parent as well, as their parent. So they're choosing you. We're choosing each other, but on a soul level before you're born. The children are choosing you to teach you, not necessarily the other way around. We think we're teaching the children, but they're teaching us. You're choosing your spouse as well, because you're teaching each other maybe patience or tolerance or love. And we also choose our parents. And most of my clients go, why did I choose them? Because they don't get along. And we find out why. And sometimes they've also had, they've known each other in a past life, but they haven't obviously finished what they were here to finish with in those relationships. So they come back again to obviously learn forgiveness and love. And I think one of the hardest things for people to do, I find in my sessions, is to be open to the idea of forgiveness. And the person they need to forgive the most, the hardest person to forgive, is always themselves. So we go through forgiveness as well, forgiving yourself and then forgiving others, because it's just a school of learning and we all make mistakes.
There's a lot of power in forgiveness, and people think that if I forgive somebody who's wronged me, that takes my power away. It's like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You giving forgiveness is all the power you have, because as soon as you forgive, as in to give up, you no longer have that monkey on your back. You can just get on with your life.
Yeah. And we always say to people, you say, I forgive you, I release you, I let you go. Now you go your way with love and I'll go mine. And they say, what about the other person? And we always tell them that's their karma. That's their decision. But you know when that person tries to, provoke you or push your buttons, nothing's going to happen. And that's how you know you've truly forgiven that person, when they try to push your buttons and you have no reaction at all. That's true forgiveness. But you have to let these people go, if you've tried everything. And we don't say to their face, I tell them to just forgive them in their minds. That's important as well, because it very rarely works when you go up to someone's face and say, it's okay, I forgive you for everything. But it can do. But if you're not getting along and it's that type of relationship, then we just...
Does this have anything to do with what Anthony Peake talked about, the morphic field, the field that's above reality kind of thing that you can tap into, and you can send messages, you can receive them, that kind of thing? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. And also, it's really helpful if the person is on the spirit side, if they've actually passed away and you can't speak to them anymore. If you use the same forgiveness technique, forgive yourself for anything, all of your shortcomings, anything you've ever done, also you can release them and let them go as well.
Now, the question is, can we forgive Bill Gates? I gotcha.
I don't think we should be taking revenge either. I don't think it's our job to say, you've done this to me, I'm going to take revenge. Forgive them, release them, and let them go. You don't want to have karma with these people at all.
Indeed. We'll be right back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, please forgive us for the commercial break.
Gilad Atzmon says the essence of Jewish power is the ability to prevent the discussion of Jewish power.
Jewish power requires anybody in politics to understand it and know about it, but never talk about it.
My awakening really sums up with the very best evidence, the facts and the truth about race, and the fact that race drives history, and the truth about the Jewish question.
The younger you get, the greater the percentage of people who identify as alphabet soup, LGBTQ, RS.
This woman, she's like, oh yeah, I identify as a koala 2 years ago. And I'm like, what?
A koala?
What? Maybe if it was Quickie Koala, that might be cool, but otherwise, no. How about an inward pass? Have you ever received an inward pass from any of your black friends?
Biden invited a drag queen to come for the signing of the Respect for Marriage Act, the Respect for Anal Sex Act. So, let's just call it like it is.
The Patrick and Jeremy Show, Tuesday at 9 Central and Wednesday at 1 Central.
The secret to aging like fine wine is in the vines. Syrah grape seeds and skins contain high levels of flavonoids and resveratrol. Fermentation breaks these organic compounds down into smaller molecules, penetrating these therapeutic ingredients deeper into the skin, delivering faster and more effective results. Our handmade fermented skincare products are formulated with all natural ingredients and do not contain any phthalates or parabens. Similar products can cost as much as $180. At Natural Earth Medicine, we source our ingredients from local Arizona vineyards and cold process our oils to ensure that our customers receive the highest quality product in its purest form. Learn more at our website and try our fermented skincare products today. Visit naturalearthmedicine.com. That's naturalearthmedicine.com.
Are you sick of censorship? TLB Talk is the cure. TLB stands for Truth, Liberty, and Balance. We are the newest and most unique social media platform to hit the internet. We were built out of necessity because Big Tech, Big Pharma, and Big Brother are out of control. The only thing bigger than them is when we, the people, are united. With that vision, TLB Talk was born. Our battlefield is in cyberspace. The battle we're in can be won by clicks of buttons and voting with your wallet. TLB Talk has no hidden agendas, no corporate funding, and we do not sell, trade, or give away any of your information. Our platform runs off of generous donations of members and merchandise profits. So please, check out our site. It's the best around. And be sure to stop by our store. It's loaded with items that'll have you feeling a sense of member pride and victory. Come unite with us today at tlbtalk.com and join the social media revolution.
Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show, broadcasting live on republicbroadcasting.org. We're also live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to go and search Vinny Eastwood or Vinny Eastwood Show on those platforms, the show is archived on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey additionally. And we also put this up on the One Great Work Network. And I think, is that about it? No, we're also going out on kiwiradio.nz, peopleforpeople.ning.com. And it's like becoming like a Vinny Eastwood network out there. It feels strange. And strangely uncomfortable as well. Now, anyway, my very special guest is Sarah Smith. Thank you very much for joining me and giving me some of your valuable time. And so we're talking about quantum hypnotherapy and all of and all of those wonderful juicy fruits that we... I don't know where that term juicy fruit came from. Anyway, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically the bottom line is you don't need all the surgery, pharmaceutical pills, chemo and radio, all of that. This therapy will help anybody with anything. People ring me up, well, what about this disease? What about it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far the disease has spread, how far it's gone. This therapy is miraculous. So you don't need to spend time on years and years and years of therapy when all it takes is just one session.
Yeah. And if only cannabis works so well. You don't need years of therapy, you just need one session.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Just walk around the street throwing joints out to people. Here you go, mate, you're cured.
I think it would solve a lot of problems in the world, wouldn't it?
I mean,
give one to Bill Gates, Vinny.
Oh man, if Bill Gates was like Blaze, he'd be like, "Oh man, what have I done?"
I'm not sure he would.
Man, this is so good. I want to make an injectable kind of this, man. I want to give it out to everybody.
He's just crazy, isn't he, this guy?
Yeah. Bill, where do you get your weed from, man?
Shoot him straight into the arm.
Well, IVC, in vitro cannabis. Well, in either case, mind control, something we're all kind of suffering from to greater or lesser degrees. What did the Morphic field have to say about this?
About mind control? It starts off, when you're born and your parents are in that sort of this sort of mind control, that sort of hypnotic state, aren't they? Because they've been through the same system as you're going to go through. And then obviously you've got, the other children, then you've got school, and this is how you're being indoctrinated into the system. So children like me, and probably you, when we keep asking questions, but why? The teacher goes, not you, put your hand down, not her, because they don't know how to handle us. And the system it tries to break us, it breaks everybody down to conform, but some of us it just doesn't work with. It just seems all the, like the film They Live, when he puts on the glasses, we seem to see through all of this, don't we? It takes us a while to wake up, but why is it us that sees through all of this? Nothing seems to work on us, all the hypnotic suggestions. We sort of go, and then we go, no. And we seem to see through it, don't we?
I don't know, because I used to help out socialists at their protests. I think I voted for the Green Party once, and I'm like, oh man, But these are growth stages, What they say is like, as soon as you grow up, everybody's a socialist, but as soon as you have to go to work, everybody's a capitalist. And with this kind of thing, when we're talking about the control of particularly children's minds, I was just talking about it with Rebecca this morning. Is that really bad parenting, sending your children to a Soviet-style mind control institution?
You mean school?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. We have 4 children, and we just took them out of school. Now, I knew, even before, we call it COVID, even before that happened, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I wasn't seeing, I have teenagers, I wasn't seeing them anymore, and they were changing. They're teaching them about global warming and worshipping Greta Thunberg, and they're teaching them man landed on the moon in 1969, and I don't know what shape you think that the Earth is, but I don't think it's a ball or a sphere shooting through space faster than a bullet. I'm more of the dome theory type of person.
Indeed, unfortunately, the music has cut us off, and that's the end of the show. Sarah, can you please quickly just tell us your website?
Yeah, www.quantumhypno.co.uk.
Quantumhypno.co.uk. Thank you so much, Sarah. We'll see you again sometime. And we'll see you again sometimes. Oh, thank you. I love you too.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the...
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, we are still live, actually.
Lucky I didn't say anything bad.
Yeah. Well, if you want to...
No, I still love you. Still love you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're back now, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you just on the live streams here, we're off of republicbroadcasting.org. We've got the lovely quantum hypnotherapist, Sarah Smith. Is there any other things we'd like to wrap up quickly before we end the show here?
Well, is there anything you want to ask me?
Yeah, when you meet somebody and they appear very similar to you, but also very dissimilar, and there's a lot of clashes and stuff like that. What's that about? Because like sometimes, you actually meant to be with these people for a time or for a long time or whatever. Are we breaking each other up, just to put each other back together kind of thing?
Yeah, I wonder if they're teaching you something about yourself. Do you mean people that you think, oh, I'm so frustrated with this person.
Yeah.
I can't get through to you. I think they're teaching you something about yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I think. There must be a reason for it. I know I go to my local coffee shop and they're big pharma barristers. And I'm saying to him, one of them said I got a speeding ticket the other day, and he said I broke the law, and I said that's not a law, that's an act or a statute, it's not the same. And you don't know anything about law, and so me and him are, it's just frustrating with these people, isn't it? And but maybe we're teaching each other something, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can be taught, can we learn, is the question. And that's what's so hard about it as well. I mean, yourself personally, how have you had to change yourself knowing now what you know after studying under Cannon?
I realize how similar we all are. All of my clients say the same thing in the same way. I say, what is the first book you read? And they bought How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I said, why did you buy that? And they said, to learn what other people are like, because I couldn't get on with them. I didn't understand humans or earthlings. We don't understand them at all. It's very difficult for us to be with all of these people, because we're so different, aren't we? But what I realized is we're all saying the same thing in the same way, but all of my clients have very, very different life experiences as well. We've all had very different childhoods, different families, so we're all learning different things and we can teach each other. But I learned how strong I am. I was going into shops going, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not doing your stupid thing. And I lost fear. I lost all the fear of being who I truly am. And I would say to people, I talk to trees. I can communicate with dogs, and just to see what they would say, and you see them sidestepping away going, she's mad. But I decided I don't really care what you think of me anymore. We are 6 and 7 sensory and on beings. So who cares what they think of you if they think you're mad? What did you learn? Anything similar? Or
yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like, I love the fact that I'm still able to use my humor. I think there's been times where I didn't find anything funny.
Really?
And then you kind of you snap out of it because it's a survival response. Your consciousness and your soul needs to survive, and if you can't laugh at the horrible things that are being done to try and destroy your consciousness and destroy your soul, then those things have all the more power. And so, when people are like talking about getting all this, that, and the other medical procedure, and I'm just okay, guys, I've had a few tears and I'm fine. Just give me a moment, guys. Hold on a second. I just got a bit of a blood clot. I just need to clear it. I'm all better now. I'm not freaking retarded. It's just like. It's like actually there's a thing called a superiority complex, right? And a lot of people in the truth movement who are privy to occult information and the way that things really work get one of them, okay?
Yes.
And
And
in some cases, it's actually completely justified because there are so many people out there who you are actually a better than. You're a better person. You're smarter. You're more capable. You're more responsible. This is the things that make you a better person. You weren't just born better. You have to work at it.
Yeah. And the spirituality complex as well. I'm more spiritual than you. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Who do you talk to? I talk to Jesus. I talk to God. And it's all this one-upmanship in the spirituality world as well.
Yeah. So basically, it becomes about competition. Right now,
very much.
This reminds me of the joke that I told about the two ascended masters, and both of them believe in this thing called the Mountain of Truth. And one of them's in China, and he's meditating, and he finally does it. He gets to the Mountain of Truth. And another guy in South America is meditating, and he does it too. He gets to the Mountain of Truth. But the Mountain of Truth's in the middle. the guy from China's on the left side and the guy from South America is on the right side. And from the right side, the mountain appears to have like a very tall shaft with two boulders at the bottom of it. Whereas from the other side, it looks kind of like more concave with sort of like a hole going into it. And the guy on the left just goes, "Oh my God, it looks like a pussy, you dick." And the other guy goes, "No, it looks like a dick, you pussy." And the other guy goes, "Don't call me a pussy, you dick." And the guy goes, "Well, then don't call me a dick, you pussy." Now,
awesome. Oh, I love it.
If only they tried to look at it from the other people's perspective, they would have proven that they weren't being such a dick or such a pussy or such a coward. You see?
Yeah. And you saw, did you ask people, just for fun, I do a Columbo, which means I pretend to be stupid, and I say to people, "Did you get the vaccine?" And then I say to them, "Why did you get it?" No judgment. "Why did you get it?" And they said, "To travel." And I said, "But you could have waited 5 or 6 months." And they say, "I know." There's no rhyme or reason. Why did they do it? You know? Is that a good enough reason?
I think, what was it? Blue Collar Logic did a video on tattoos once, and he's talking about how there's actually a correlation between those people with a lot of tattoos and poor long-term decision-making. All right?
Really?
Yeah. One of my mates on the vineyards on Waiheke many years ago, he was talking about his friend who had a tattoo, much older guy, and he goes to him, "Why did you get a tattoo of a cauliflower?" And the guy... And the guy stretches his skin out, and it was a rose.
Oh no! I don't have any tattoos, thankfully.
Neither does my partner. You know.
No.
But the whole concept of poor long-term decision-making, being able to see consequences far afield that have basically ramifications for what your decisions are making now, and this kind of short-term decision-making that we've got now, I think, goes hand in hand with the very short attention span that's out there.
Yeah. And also, what's in the food? What are people eating? And they're drinking Coca-Cola. What are you eating and drinking? What are they spraying? So, but also, I'm from Ireland. I live in the UK. But I said, I was shocked at the Irish. They seem to, acquiesce to all of this. And, they had the vaccine passports, and you weren't allowed into cafes and stuff like that in Ireland unless you showed show me the papers. And my theory was, I think they fluoridated the water in Ireland so that the people would just acquiesce, and they did.
Yeah, that's one reason. But of course, I think the New Zealand example really holds a lot of promise here for the rest of the world. What did we do? On record, $111 million or $116 million on advertisements. So that means that you couldn't tune into a radio station, a social media platform, or a television channel without getting this whoomph in your face again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So if you listen to that, so that's on average one ad every 5 to 6 minutes for 3 months, and that's about maybe $5 to $8 a head for every man, woman, and child in the country. You can convince people of amazing things with saturation propaganda, and that's precisely what's happened here. Now, moreover, what if we're actually in a constant state of saturation propaganda? What if we're being propagandized about everything? What if everything we know is wrong? And that's why I think a lot of people in the truth movement actually find it very, very difficult to have friends and all of that sort of thing, because their suspicions are up. And just knowing that you've been lied to is a traumatizing thing. If you've ever lied to somebody and then told them the truth, and I have, you can see how much it hurts them. And you know also, if you've got a conscience, how much it hurt lying to them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now everybody's got to wake up from that trauma of being lied to. And not only that, but the people who are lying to them are also the ones telling them the truth. They just tell you, the big lie, and the truth. Right? You're like, what was that second part? Oh, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't believe anything you see on the television, the media, the presenters, the parliament, the governments, they're all in on it, all of them. We used to believe everything, what was it, David Attenborough said. I mean, he was like God here, and then you realize that they're not what you think. And Jane Goodall, she was, she was always working with the primates and, protecting all these animals in Africa. And then she was the one that started saying, no, we need to reduce the world population. So these people aren't really what you think. It's hard to wrap your mind around it.
Joseph, oh man, what was his name? I can't friggin' remember. Joseph Atwill. He said he wanted to put a new term into the lexicon: lifetime actors.
Oh, absolutely.
Bill Gates is one of them. All right.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, he's not in the labs mixing this stuff up. He's just a figurehead.
Yeah. Yeah, but he does look like a deeply disturbed man, because there's a video of him, I think he's with the FBI or something, and they're asking him questions and he's unable to answer the questions, and he's rocking back and forth in the video. He doesn't look like a well man. I remember that reminds me of something Donald Marshall said about cloning.
That's right. How like there's actually like a lot of people out there who are just clones of their previous selves, and because the clones haven't grown up or anything like that, they're like dangerous children, and they have to be minded all the time so that they don't just like start a fire in the corner of the room or something.
Yeah, well, you've seen Hillary Clinton where she has the milkshake or the coffee and she starts glitching with this coffee back and forth, and it's not normal. And she's collapsing before she gets into her limo, and nobody bats an eye. Seems to be normal.
Yeah. I mean, what can you get used to over time if you're introduced to it a little bit at a time? You were talking about what people are eating, and I've got liver problems, and found this out, and then they gave me the big list of things that cause liver problems: stress, alcohol, cigarettes, any kind of carb, any kind of sugar. Now, I'm just thinking, if you take those 5 things into account, that's what everybody's doing all the time, right? Yeah. Now, the interesting thing was, I was like in a down slump, kind of thing, didn't care about my show or what my guests were talking about, etc. And I was like, why is that? Because I was like, I don't feel, and that's weird for me. I don't like that, because this is how I do my work. This is how I live my life. Why can't I feel? And it turns out that if you've got liver problems, it makes you apathetic.
Really?
Now, so if you take those 5 factors into account, every kind of baccy, alcohol, caffeine, sugar and carb and stress and anxiety into a thing, and that all affects the liver, and if that's what everybody's being affected by, I think basically we're talking about a real explanation for why the entirety of the world's population in the main is actually apathetic to this day, and that's why the people who are in control can get away with what they do, because what can you do to a bunch of people who don't care about anything?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, I cut out processed foods. I don't drink or smoke anyway, which is good for a therapist, isn't it? But I cut out processed foods 3 or 4 weeks ago. I feel wonderful. And I cut out caffeine. And this is my new invention. I'm just asking for like an oat latte with no coffee in it. And they keep saying, "Are you a baby?" And I say, "Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. There's no caffeine in it. I might go back on the coffee, but for 6 weeks, I just want no processed food and no caffeine." And it's wonderful. I feel really clear. Really healthy.
I mean, I wish it was like that when I stopped coffee. I missed it. It's like, what was it, 6 months now, I think. It might be 6 or 7 months without drinking coffee regularly. Wow. So that's, I've had maybe 3 coffees in that time, because I was just nothing. Like up at 2 o'clock in the morning having to do a show or something. I was like, okay, I'll break my coffee fast. But yeah, man, it's actually something kind of difficult, because I think it's cultural. And by cultural, the first syllable of cultural. is cult. And I was in the coffee cult, man. Like even since I was like 14. Like I didn't like getting up early and going to school. I really didn't, and I couldn't concentrate worth a damn because I was a teenage boy. We're not designed to get up early in the morning, and so I had to take a thermos of coffee to school every day since I was 14, and then I had realized that man, I was feeling so tired, like all the time for no reason. I didn't do anything, and adrenal fatigue. You know, that's what happens. The coffee expands that adrenal gland and it just kind of like pumps you full of adrenaline, gets you up there. And then eventually that gland just goes, I can't do it anymore, bro. You know, and it takes you down with it.
Yeah. But if you go to a coffee shop, you can still go, it's my new invention, and just have like an oat milk cappuccino or a coconut cappuccino without the coffee in it. And you're still getting that warm, comforting, warm, sort of frothy drink.
Yeah.
But you're cleansing the body.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, I'm making herbal detox teas now with lemon, dandelion, and milk thistle. And so, just having that pretty much every morning, that's been really good to help cleanse out. And I think that's probably the most important thing that I've actually been ignoring this for like my entire career. I've had plenty of people on talking about health, never actually really took care of my own until there was actually a problem. And
exactly.
That's how it is with people. Suddenly you got a problem. Now you're interested, aren't you?
Yes.
So, do you want to die, Vinny? It's like, no, I actually, I'm quite fond of living. I enjoy it to a degree.
And you know what I get with my clients, Vinny, which is really important. They're told under hypnosis, again by the higher self, they're told, oh, it wasn't the disease that was going to kill him. It's the pharmaceutical pills that he's on. He would have had 6 months to live. Those pills have such bad side effects on people's livers. It's going to kill them within 6 months to a year, I guarantee you.
That's precisely what I said to my probation officer when they were interviewing me to whether or not I should go to prison. It said like, oh, you've got liver problems, so why don't you just take pharmaceuticals for that? And I say, well, because the pharmaceuticals damage the liver and damage the kidneys and damage the glands of my body, all of which are at a current state of shock. And so if I did that, it would kill me. And then the guy wrote it in the probation report as kind of like signs that I'm not all there, you know? It's just like, no, I just know something that you don't. You frickin' alcoholic probation officer who's been putting people in the worst state of affairs for years and has to drink himself to sleep at night, man, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's his karma. And I've had other people, Vinny, and they've said, you know, and I'm not allowed to get into this legally, but they say, the doctor says I'm schizophrenic. They're not schizophrenic. There's nothing wrong with them. You can tell. But nobody's ever said, how are you, Vinny? How's your life been? Talk as long as you want. And you get to talk, and you get to talk to somebody who's truly listening to you. I don't sit and actually take notes while people are talking. I sit and look at you and watch you while you listen to you properly. And the thing is, this young boy said, well, the doctor's putting me on pills, and these are the side effects. It says highly, likely to commit suicide, liver damage, heart disease, heart attack. And I said, they're telling you there, you're going to be depressed and suicidal taking these things. Why are you taking them? But I always go, it's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. And they always throw them in the bin. Because nobody's listening to them. Nobody's talking to them. Your doctor or GP isn't going to talk to you and go, how are you, Vinny? Sit down and talk. Take as long as you want and offload. Yeah,
that's definitely not going to happen. I got a counselling session free down at my clinic and stuff like that, and that's what I told him is that basically my problem is I don't really have anybody to just sit there and just listen to me, Ironically, as a talk radio show host.
Well, I'm here. I'll always listen to you, and the longest I've ever been sitting listening to somebody before the hypnosis, Vinny, was 5 hours.
I think I did a 6-hour interview with a satanic ritual abuse victim. That was frickin' intense. I couldn't talk to anybody for like 3 months.
You see, for me, it doesn't affect me at all, because straight afterwards we go into the hypnosis, and so the energy is so. I've actually just finished a session today with somebody here. He's a famous DJ in the UK, but he's asked me not to mention his name yet. He'll talk about it in his own time. But I was working with him all day long, and I said, no, I'm euphoric, I'm full of joy, because the trauma and everything is actually preceded by the hypnosis. The hypnosis comes afterwards. And so the joy and the euphoria and the energy and everything, it affects me too. So I'm like, hey, let's party. You know, I'm really happy. Nothing affects me at all. No amount of listening to it makes me feel sad at the time. It doesn't affect me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Never.
I think I did that once. And then the next satanic ritual abuse victim that I did for 5 hours, I think it was. And I was completely fine the next day. I was happy because we were having a laugh, you know. And talking about these kind of sweet things. Like she's a 30-year-old woman now, and she plays with Lego and little Barbie dolls and stuff like that for the childhood that she never had, you know. It was kind of sweet. And, you know, you get left along with this warm, fuzzy feeling. And that reminds me, again, going back to the Pope's Exorcist, towards the end of the movie, after going through all this horrific stuff and they're covered in blood and all that kind of thing, and the little priest goes to the exorcist, how are you feeling? And he goes, oh, you know, not too bad, not too bad. And and it was interesting to me as a film goer, as a film buff, kind of like looking at that, and also as a truther looking at that, because that's precisely the essence of my show. You can go through the deepest, darkest, most horrible, freaking bumpy ride, and at the end of it, you can just make a little spell and dispel all of that darkness.
Yeah. But that's how I feel after the sessions, and that's how the clients do too. I mean, they are exhausted after as long. I'm kind of used to it. But I also add, have you ever seen my ads on David Icke? I always laugh at myself. I do the Terminator, I'll do a little bit of sci-fi, I'll do a little bit of the Matrix in my ads. It's all a bit of tongue-in-cheek as well. I explain the therapy, I tell everybody, but I sort of have a bit of a laugh at myself. And remember you said, what's the biggest lesson you've ever learned from all this fame and this work and everything? Don't take yourself too seriously. Never take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, and that was taught to me by Catherine Smith of the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine and Uncensored magazine. She edits them both with her husband John Eisen. And she told me that one time. I think I was down in the dumps and talking to her, and she's like, Vinny, don't take yourself too seriously, and don't take what other people say about you personally.
That's right. That's right. I've had so many rumors about myself on the internet. I've had 4 children and I was born a man, allegedly. So, you know, they're they're trying to, with women, if you're in the public eye, they're trying to humiliate you and degrade you. Guess what? It doesn't work. So people can say what they want. I just laugh. And some of the comments they say about me are genuinely funny as well. So,
oh man, I remember one time Max Egan was telling me about some of the things that people were saying about him, and he goes to me, Vinny, one person said that I was wearing a prosthetic face. You just can't make this shit up, bro. Like, out of control. I remember
some of them are genuinely funny, though. Yeah. The things that people say about you. Yeah.
I mean, is there anything funnier, really, than stupid people just being themselves? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you see all these fail blog videos and people hurting themselves because they just didn't think about it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The universe has got a sense of humor, right? And I think this is like a lot of people who drink all the time, who don't smoke cannabis, don't do hallucinogens, don't alter their consciousness in any way, really, other than alcohol, very rarely get themselves into those fits of laughter. You know, you've been in these states where you just can't stop laughing because it's just so funny, man, and it's just so good. And they don't seem to kind of access these states. And what is it about? Really, just laughing your ass off at something silly that is so therapeutic and so good for you.
Well, my children say things to me all the time, and bless her, we were in London all day yesterday. I was with the wonderful Dr. Mike Eden. I got a chance to have 15-minute chat with him, Patrick Hennings, and a few other people, wonderful people there. They were there for the vaccine injured people. But my daughter was looking at somebody and she said, "Can deaf people use sign language too?" And we were just sort of looking at her. She's only 10, so they come out with all these sort of questions, about would it be a good idea for deaf people to learn sign language too? And we were sort of saying, it's kind of for deaf people, isn't it? But they're learning and they don't understand, they ask questions. So we were all sort of laughing a little bit at that. And children come up with the most innocent questions, don't they? But they're so funny.
Yeah, I think my mate Azza, his 6-year-old comes into the room and he goes, "Dad, what happened to yesterday?" And he goes, "Oh." And he goes, "Whoa, that's really deep." For a 6-year-old. But he was just wondering about the passage of time and like today's today, what happened to yesterday? Why is that not there anymore? And he goes, "Oh, well, as soon as the clock goes here, it's another day." And that was a simple thing, but you can interpret these things because what if you actually sat there and philosophized with that 6-year-old for a little bit? And like, I actually had this thought yesterday. How young is too young for philosophy? All right, like if you're sitting there with your 4-year-old or something like that, and you're telling them about Marcus Aurelius,
it's amazing.
And meditations and philosophy and things like that. Is that too young? Are they going to retain that stuff? Because I think that kids are just a sponge. You can start teaching your children at university level, I think, and they'll just go from there. If you start them with A, B, C, and all of that kind of stuff, sure, they need all those basic metrics, etc. But I think that possibly even when they're a baby, you can talk to them about complex concepts, and later on their brain's going to develop even more than people could really conceive, right? Like just sitting there doing that baby talk and blah, blah, blah and whatnot. Is that really helping their brain develop more than, say, I don't know, putting on an episode of the David Icke Show or something?
Yeah, they are taking it all in. We've taken all of ours to all of the David Icke, the rallies and the speeches and everything. I mean, they don't comment that much in it, but I think they are like sponges. They're taking it all in. And we're friends with Dawn Lester and David Parker. We've gone and spent long afternoons with them. And I say, you're so lucky because you're listening to geniuses, all of these people. And we get a chance to have private conversations with the, people like you, the best minds in the world at the moment. So our children are so lucky. But we don't know how much they're retaining, but we'll find out. I think they're far more clever than us, especially with technology. You see these kids with the phones. We don't know how to use them. And they're just like, no. Or with the laptops or, the computers. They're far quicker than we are. They just pick everything up.
Well, that's how children are. They, I think they did a test with a child learning how to ride a bicycle at the same time as her dad. Her dad didn't know how to ride a bicycle. The kid didn't know how to ride a bicycle, but they started learning at the same time. And it took the dad, I think it was 6 weeks before he could properly ride the bicycle, and it took the girl 2 weeks. And so kids do learn remarkably faster than adults can. And that's, is that neuroplasticity? I forget the exact.
Yes.
Yeah. And so this means essentially we've got so many different options of what to teach your children in the time that they can learn that fast. So you could basically overload your child with all the knowledge of the universe and they just soak it right up.
Yeah. And they just know stuff as well, don't they, these children? They just know. I remember with Dolores Cannon again, she said, the children are bored in school. School isn't enough for them. And they're saying they're adding up. Even my son can do. We give him 50 numbers, 100, 125, and all of these triple numbers. Add them all up, and he can do it. And I said, he's cheating. And we realized he wasn't cheating. They can just do it. But teachers in school will say, explain to me how you came up with that answer. And they say, I just know. I can't explain to you. I just know. So they're just born with this intelligence.
Now, there's 7 different types of intelligence, apparently. And, so some people have spatial awareness. Some people have kinesthetic intelligence with their bodies, gymnasts and things of that nature. Some people are intellectually smart, like physicists and things of that nature. Now, it doesn't mean that because you lack or aren't proficient in one type of intelligence that you're dumb or whatever. You just have different areas and skills. Like my sister, she has like kilos of ribbons that she's won at horsing events over the years. Kilos of ribbons, a lot of them first place.
Wow.
And I can't do that. But she can't do a radio show. And I've done, I think, maybe 20,000 plus hours of broadcasting before the age of 35. Wow. And so this is something that you can't really compare and contrast. What you can do, however, is you can acknowledge. All right. You can acknowledge that other people have talents and skills and knowledge that you don't. And that doesn't make you any less of a person, and it doesn't make them any more of a person. We're just a different form of life.
Yeah. My older sister, we were both swimmers, but she was really competitive. And I just want to be friends with everyone. I don't really want to. And she went on to win 3 Olympic golds in swimming and a bronze in the 1996 Olympics. We're just completely different people. I admire her. I acknowledge she's got all this talent more so than me, but in the, the athleticism and the athletics and swimming, but it wasn't for me. And then she did great in school. She went on to be a barrister, but they cannot think the barrister's outside the box. You cannot speak to them about, this is a hoax, what's going on. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. They're in the left brain prison, aren't they? These people.
Well, the thing about law, medicine, the military, and high school is that they follow the classic signs of a cult indoctrination scenario. All right, so are you sleep deprived? Oh, yes, you are. Are you made to do boring, mindless, repetitive tasks over and over again? Yes, you are. Is there essential doctrine that you have to abide by? Yes, you do. Do you get cracked on if you question it? Yes, you do. Is there essential authority figure that you have to obey the commands on? Yes, there is. Is there fluorescent lighting that's not too bright and not too dark so that you kind of get into a sleepy state? Yes, there is. Is there nothing but terrible food available that's very low in nutrition? Why, yes, there is. Right? And most of all, this is really the important part, is there trauma?
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of mine could be military. I've had Royal Marine Commandos, Navy SEALs, military, army, you name it, Vinny. And the trauma didn't start when they were in the war and they saw, that was traumatic for them, but it was a trigger for the trauma they suffered in childhood. And a lot of them, they go into the military because they've had very troubled childhoods. Some of them have been very abused as children. Daddy gave them a few smacks, they were beaten up and they had all this discipline, but they wanted to help people and defend the country. So they go into the army and they go into wars and stuff. And when I see them as clients, I say, great, well done, thank you for your service. What do you think now? And they say, I shouldn't have gone. It was all for the wrong reasons. It was for money. And they know. They were all used. But they were traumatized very much so as little boys, the majority of them. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I remember talking with a couple of ex-military Māori here in New Zealand. I think it was like one guy was in World War II. And one guy was in Desert Storm, and one from World War II, he killed 47 people. 47 human beings ended by his hand, all right? And he said, Vinny, I spent 47 years in jail. And it took me a while to actually realize what he meant by that.
Yeah.
The trauma of taking that much life is just like spending a year in jail for each of those lives. But he was still walking around, living his life, feeling like he was in jail. And he still feels like he's in jail. And his son in Desert Storm had his best friend who he'd known from 4 years old. He lived across the road from him. They went into the military together, and he got shot and he died in his arms because his commander went out drinking with the Americans the night before and was too pissed to give his commands well, you know?
Wow.
And so he went and he punched him out, and they busted him down from captain to sergeant. And he got out of the military soon thereafter. And he says, "Why do you think we drink, Vinny?" You know, these guys had a huge beer fridge. I've never seen anything like it. Why do you think we drink, Vinny? You know, because if we don't black out drunk before we go to sleep, the ghosts come and talk to us, and we wake up feeling traumatized and unrested, right?
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's what we do when we say, thank you for your service, and oh, you're all good, and the military are proud, you know, the few and the blah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. It's all just a frickin' scam, and it traumatizes people, it kills people, and it helps us to be ushered into a new world order all that much faster. Every single person in the military has contributed to this, whether they're willing or unwilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have to pay the price for it. And
but they're being used. All of these, you know, the soldiers, all the military, they're all being used.
What would you say to somebody like that? You know, you've been used, you've been traumatized, you've been abused. How do you come back from that?
I've had people already, and they said, I'm going to commit suicide as soon as the session finishes. So I just let them talk for about 5 or 6 hours. And when they're exhausted enough, obviously we do the hypnosis. But I always say to them, you have to forgive yourself. And they say, nope, I won't because of what I've done. And I say, but you have to be open at least to the possibility of forgiving yourself, you know, because we're all here to learn. We've all made mistakes. So you have to forgive yourself and forgive everybody else. I think that's the only way, you know, and I help them to turn their whole life around in just one day. It does work. Yeah, in one day. And one of my clients, I can name names here, he was former MI5, MI6, and he said, do you want under hypnosis? I'll even tell you the people I killed. And I said, no, that's fine, won't be necessary. And there, you know, he's talking away. But he had a very famous doctor in America called Dr. Peter Glidden. And when Dr. Peter Glidden saw him the next day, he said, it's miraculous, the change in you, because he said he went from one day, I'm going to kill myself and no one's going to stop me, to I love life. I know what I'm going to do. I'm on a mission. I know what the next step is. Dr. Peter Glidden said it was like a completely different man. So the energy that's coming in did that to him. It helped him. And he started to forgive himself.
How can we forgive ourselves for the things that we've done? And what was it? Rumination. This is something that I catch myself doing on an occasion. It's like, what? You're ruminating? Stop. Okay, well, okay, I'm back. And one thing that I ruminate on quite regularly is this guy who threatened to kill me at a dance party festival, New Year's, and he was kind of like, he was really pissed off at my mate Billy because they were doing this sort of residential thing on the land where this festival was being done. And that deal fell through. And this guy's really pissed off about it. They put all bunches of work into it, and he runs the roading crew. And all of a sudden, I'm being pulled out of a mosh pit, and this guy's threatened to kill me and bury me in the hill with his digger. You know?
Wow.
And I'm... okay, you know, so I managed to talk my way out of it, as you do, by doing the one thing that an arrogant person who doesn't take responsibility for their own actions does.
Yeah.
I said, I messed up. All right. And he said, well, I didn't say I messed up, I swore. But anyway, the thing about it was, as soon as he realized, like, the next thing I was going to say would either decide whether or not he was going to hit me and kill me or not, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing that I said, he said that Billy screwed up. And I said, well, I screwed up too. And then all of a sudden you see his demeanor change, right?
Yeah.
When somebody actually connects with you and is listening to you, doesn't matter what state they're in or whatever, you can say the right thing and you can completely turn them around. And I think maybe 12 minutes later, he gave me a bottle of wine out of his cooler up at the campsite, you know?
Because he didn't expect you to turn around and have that sort of response at all. And that sort of shocks people. It stops them dead in their tracks, doesn't it? Because they expect you to fight back. And when you don't, and you say, I apologize, I didn't realize it's my fault. And they come at you again, you say, I apologize, it's my fault, I'm sorry. What are they going to do? It seems to take the fight out of them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's lovely that he gave you the bottle.
Yeah, I mean, I was. It was lovely. It was actually quite a good bottle too. You know, like it was sort of like one of those dessert wines, quite sweet. Anyway, beside the point. Directly after that, I went down to the tribal zone and I sang a song, a really freaking good one. And I just came up with it off the top of the cuff, you know, like I do. I do all the songs for the show as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, what do they say in extreme sports? The closer you are to death, the more you feel alive, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And I think that's when a lot of magic happens, when people actually feel that their life is in danger, right?
Yes.
And at the moment, I know that all the listeners to the show and everything like that, they've gone through similar awakenings and things like we have. That, it's not all sunshine and rainbows out there, folks. You know, there's Pakistani rape gangs are operating in England. There's freaking Black Lives Matter burning 100 police cars in Los Angeles County. There's freaking all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Isn't there? So regardless of what you're going through, I know that it's going to be tense and it's going to be stressful, just not being ignorant.
Yeah.
Just being informed is in and of itself is a huge trauma. So how do you deal with that for people in terms of they're worried about all these things that are going out there that they don't actually have any real effect on? And doesn't actually have any immediate effect on them right now, but they still feel like they're in fight or flight.
Yeah. I think, a lot of the time I say to people, if they don't want to do meditation or something like that, just go to nature, because you need to go somewhere peaceful and quiet and just listen. There's always a force or an energy out there that's trying to talk to you, that will give you advice, but you also need to ask for help as well. You need to get out of these cities and go to nature, be with trees or animals or something that's peaceful for your mind, and then you can't feel like that after 2 minutes in the woods. Your frequency immediately will connect with the frequency of everything around you. You'll see reality, as you were saying, for what it is.
That's nice. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting late, isn't it, Sarah? So
it's almost midnight here. Yeah.
Oh well, let's get you to sleep so you don't have a sleep deprived session tomorrow. So.
I don't mind. It's been lovely talking to you. You're so intelligent. You're so interesting to talk to.
Thank you.
Vinny.
I get that a lot. Now
I don't.
Well, I mean, it's probably because people are too focused on getting your help, because they need it.
I hope I help them. I really do. I really do care about people, so I hope I'm making a difference.
Yeah. Well, who helps you? Who do you go to for help?
I have a few friends. I have a lovely friend called Glenn. I have a lovely friend called Ed. There's quite a few people who I talk to. Yeah. My children are very, very good. Yeah. Sometimes the husband is supportive as well, but he can be quite a normie as well. So we all have our little challenges there, don't we? But because like I keep saying to you, the hypnosis is just so loving and so joyful. That gives me the joy in my life. I sleep really, really well at night knowing that all of these people are helped and that it's going to make a change for the whole planet. So, yeah, I do actually speak to spirit though myself as well, and so when I write things down and I say I just can't handle it, I can't, this isn't going well, whatever, what should I do? But the answer always comes. So I'll write stuff down, or I'll just sit and I'll say, why is this happening to me? So I have my moments as well in my own personal life, and I think for me, my main thing was getting the message out there to people, even if they don't book me personally, but please know that the therapy is out there for you, because it's just working. It's so wonderful and successful. That's my mission in life. That's, if I can get that message to the people that it's there for them and they can use it, that's I sleep very, very well at night. So I'm going to sleep so well when this show is over, thanks to you for asking me on.
You're welcome. All right, so I didn't even know I was asking you on, remember? A confusion of things. But this actually turned out to be like a lot better. And I was like, whoa, yeah. And, this is the thing. The universe doesn't care what your plans are. It doesn't care what you think you're doing. It's just stuff just happens, right? Yes. And the way that you know that you're well adjusted to a very sick world is if you can roll with it,
Oh, you roll with the punches, yeah.
Oh, things didn't go your way, huh? Oh man. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining in, and I want to give a little. This is probably my favorite joke, I think. I didn't come up with it. But I think it's very important, especially for people in our field who, for all intents and purposes, deal with the traumatized. Man goes to a doctor. He says he's depressed. He says he feels all alone in a threatening world. And life seems harsh and cruel. Doctor says treatment is simple. The great clown Pagliacci is in town. Go see him. That should pick you up. Man bursts into tears. But doctor, he cried, I am Pagliacci.
Oh, excellent. Oops.
Right. And so, where do the people who help you and cheer you up go to get cheered up themselves when they're feeling low? Who watches the watchers? Who cracks up the comedians? So just left with that little thought for you, ladies and gentlemen, as uplifting or, retrospectively depressing as it might be, but, but it's all good. It's all good. It could be worse, ladies and gentlemen. The world could be run by child trafficking Satanists. Good night, everybody.